This is Lewis up for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store Forged Irish Stout. Delighted to be joined with Ben Shalom here at Box Park Croydon for a massive show. Other than that, how's things, mate? How have you been?
Very good. How are you?
All the better for seeing you, mate. Obviously, we are in Croydon for a massive South London showdown, I guess, at Crystal Palace. Chris Billam-Smith defends his WBO strap against Richard Riakporhe at the Palace, but there will only be one king on Saturday night, so must be looking forward to it.
I am. Obviously, two fighters that we worked with a long time. I know a lot about both of them. 4 weeks ago, I was convinced one of them was going to win. Coming into this week, I've gone the other way. It's really tough to call, but yeah, to think back on the journey they've both been on, these are one of the more enjoyable weeks as a promoter. Both guys done incredibly well to get here. Both fought their way to here. Chris's third world title fight, Richard's first one, been very patient but developed so much as a fighter in the past 2 years. We joked about him fighting here. I remember we went to the semi-final with Steve Parish about 18 months ago, and we were convincing him of the opportunity. He's got so behind it, and the Palace for Life Foundation as well, and this 100-year anniversary and the Euro starting and the fan zone and the entertainment and what they've done to create such a special event for British boxing, really. There's not many times you get a domestic world title fight. May the best man win. It's a complete 50-50. And both of them will be looking to achieve their dreams on Saturday night.
I watched the face-off, the gloves are off this morning. A pretty sort of an interesting one from both teams. Riakporhe in interesting behaviour. Chris seemed a little bit like, I suppose, irritated, I'd say, by the behaviour, but all makes for like a bit of needle for a great fight on Saturday night that caps off a great card as well.
Look, they are very, very respectful. No matter what we try, you're not going to get them throwing tables and you're not going to do this, but they've known each other a long time and they're very, very different people. And Richard took Chris's loss, took his own, but Chris has gone on and achieved great things. And I'm sure Richard was sat there. Lawrence Okolie was meant to be his fight. Make no mistake. He's been patient. They know each other. They've been studying each other. They're very, very different people, as I said. The needle is there, but ultimately, they're both so focused on Saturday. I can't tell you how much this means. Chris is here 3 times, fine. For Richard, his whole career, since he put on the gloves for the very first time, since he debuted, since everything that he's ever put in the gym, the patience, comes down to Saturday night. He's never going to get a better chance to win a world title than Saturday. And ultimately, that's what's going through their heads. Chris is absolutely desperate to win because his life has changed beyond belief in the past 12 months, and he doesn't want that to stop. And he's got the experience of being here. For Richard, this is his moment, and he gets it as his stadium. Everything's set up for you. It's almost like, go on, there you go, are you good enough? And we'll see on Saturday.
Well, I suppose when it comes to the location, being at Selhurst Park, obviously a big one for Richard, I think it came, including myself, it come at a lot of shock it being there. I didn't think many people expected it to be at Selhurst Park. Obviously Steve Parish has done well for yourself, and you've done well for yourself to get it there. But was there ever any worries for yourself? Because you haven't really necessarily headlined with Riakporhe in South London before. You've done a Turchi fight at Wembley Arena, and the Dion Juma fight was at Wembley Arena. Of course, mate, of course. Was there any sort of worry for yourself when it came to suppose headline in South London that this may not sell great?
It all comes down to how much you see a lot of fights not happen. The Forest Ground didn't happen for Lee Wood, Katie Taylor in Ireland, and sometimes it comes down to the stadium. How much does the club want it? Steve Parish wanted it. It's a 100-year anniversary. Yes, could we have gone to the O2 at the indoor arena in June? Yes. It's not what we wanted to do. When we couldn't get it in Bournemouth, this was a huge option. It's going to be a festival on June the 15th. It was such a success for us last year in Bournemouth. The fans, the travelling fans from Bournemouth, the season ticket here, we're going to have over 15,000 in there now guaranteed, which is probably beyond what we thought. For this as a domestic world title, but when the stadium are behind you, and just from a business perspective, when it costs the same to go here as it would to the O2, you have to do it, and it is going to be a special moment on Saturday. We don't get many outdoor shows. I don't think there's many this summer scheduled. And so, delighted to be putting on, and it's a great experience for all the fighters, great experience for Ben Whittaker, great experience for Isaac and Jack, who are in another huge 50-50 fight. For me, the 4 best cruiserweights in the country are on this card. Dan Aziz returns as well. Fran Hennessy will open the show. So it's just a celebration. Everyone's in a good mood at the moment with the Euros coming up. And if anyone, as I say, if anyone is in London, there's a lot planned. There's a lot planned with the ring walks. There's a lot planned with the entertainment. Anyone in London on Saturday night, this is going to be pretty special.
Well, from one big stadium show to another big stadium show, I do have to ask you about September the 21st. Dan Raphael reported last night about a few fights being on the card, one of them being Joshua Buatsi, another rumour being Fabio Wardley v Fraser Clark 2. Jaya Patara also rumoured to be on there, and I think if anyone was to make a choice, it could be the winner of this Saturday. So what is your knowledge, I suppose, of having boxers involved in the Saudi Arabian card? Is that something that you will be in the promotion, involved with in the promotion?
Yeah, I mean, we're in touch now, and there's been a lot of. I mean, the reality is Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua have dominated a lot of what's gone on. But now that it's UK focused, especially this card, there's huge opportunities. We're in talks across a few fights. It's exciting. It's a huge card. Of course, we've got a lot of the biggest stars in the countries, and there's a lot of big fights. You mentioned a few there, but we're in talks, and it's good to be in talks. What they've done in such a short time, what they've done with Frank and Eddie. I mean, I grew up and I couldn't have ever imagined watching Frank and Eddie together or doing any sort of fight. So it's been special to see as a boxing fan. And obviously it's great to now be doing that. Martin Buatsi already getting his opportunity on August the 3rd, which is that fight just doesn't happen in any normal boxing world. No one wants to fight Martin Buatsi, and that's being put on, and you have to really thank Turkey, His Excellency, for putting on a fight like that, and he's done it consistently now, and that's what's exciting about when the fighters are coming through now.
But on a side for yourself, Wardley Clark 2 would ideally, if you would have liked to that headline in the domestic card. Same with Buatsi against, say, Willie Hutchinson, for example, and even Opatire and Billam-Smith from Riakporhe, the winner of that. Is there any worries when it comes to yourself of when it comes to in the future the domestic schedule, because these fights are all on one card, I guess, and with your Sky schedule, is there any worry of that?
Look, you've got Adam Azim, Ben Whittaker coming through to headline. Callum Simpson's, we're about to announce that today, he's headlining in August. But of course, we have a broadcaster to deliver for as well, and sometimes you have to balance it, and you've got to be able to put on the fights for your broadcaster and then make the best fights there as well. But ultimately, that's where the market's going, and when there's big events like that, a lot of fighters want to be on them. So ultimately it comes down to the fighters, but you are right, as a promoter, you have to make sure that everyone, you deliver for your broadcaster, deliver for your fighters, making the big fights. It's not stopped us so far. I think our schedule this year, despite the huge events in Saudi, for me, if you look at the events without Saudi involvement, for me we've had the best schedule quite comfortably, and that's not putting anyone against each other, but we've been consistently delivering big main events all year. We want to try and continue to do that, but equally it's exciting to be at the table, it's exciting to be able to make fights with the other promoters, and it's something I'm looking forward to.
We talked a little bit about Joshua Buatsi there. Anthony Yarde went on Vidal Riley's podcast, and he talked about the Buatsi fight, and he said it's not a 50-50. He said it's not 50-50. He's the A side. He gave a lot of respect to Buatsi, I must add. But he also said that me and Buatsi aren't equal. He's a clear A side. Yarde being a clear A side, and other than the Olympics, Buatsi hasn't got much pedigree. How do you sort of respond to those claims for Anthony Yarde?
Look, he's talking up the fight. I think he knows that that's probably a lot of rubbish. I think Josh Buatsi has a lot of pedigree for a good reason. He's built his career really well, looked really comfortable in a lot of his fights, boxed some really top draw opponents, but obviously he's not had those world title fights that Anthony Yarde has. That's the only difference. I think it's the fight that fans want to see ultimately. I hope we can make the fight, because if you ask anyone in this room what fight do they want to see Josh Buatsi fighting next, it's Anthony Yarde, and I hope we can. But it gets to a point where you have to make it has to be now, because we've been waiting. We actually hoped that fight would be in June, and we've actually been quite respectful of the situation, whatever's going on there, but it then comes at a cost of your own fighter. And we'll make a decision next week. Luckily for Buatsi, he's in a great position and has a couple of massive opportunities.
One man I did want to ask you about, recently had an outing, Lawrence Okolie. Eddie Hearn, during his time in Saudi Arabia, said about him potentially being out of contract and signing with someone else. From what you know, what is the situation with Okolie? Is he out of contract and is he signing with someone else?
I don't think he's signed with someone else. I think for us, we're going to sit down with him. He's coming out to this show on the weekend, and ultimately it's about what division does he want to be in, what opponents does he want to face, does it fit with what we're doing? If it does, fantastic. I think he's found his feet now. For me, it was obvious that he needed to go up for a long time. We'd love to work with him going forward, but we'll sit down and discuss what plans he has. And I'm just delighted, to be honest, because it was such a difficult period for him. What happened? Losing his world title is hard for anyone, but when you have the performances and the criticism and that he had to go through, I was delighted that he got a huge win, and we were able to provide a huge world title for him. A world title for him in a voluntary situation, and get him moving again, especially at Bridgerweight. So we'll see, but ultimately, whatever provides the best opportunities for him, he should go and do, and that's all you can do is encourage a fighter. And I'm still hopeful that he'll make the right decision there.
That's right, and that's fine. So you're positive that you see a future with Lawrence Okolie at Sky Sports, then?
Look, I do, but ultimately, you're never going to stand in the way of a fighter if there's better opportunities, or if there's a better plan, or someone wants to invest more. We'll see him this week, and we'll know more.
Final one from myself. Came out some news, I don't really know if it was a credible source or not, but it came out some news of some potential of His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh looking at a potential boxing league. I think the 5 promoters that were discussed was Matchroom Queensbury, Golden Boy, PBC, and there might have been another one, I can't remember where it was. What are your thoughts on that? I suppose boxing trying to be colonised under like one banner, I guess. Is that a possible option, do you think, for yourself?
I think it's been dreamt about for a long time by many people. If anyone can do it, he can do it. That's for sure. Obviously, it's the first I saw today. To be honest, we're just delighted that the dialogue's open for us now, and we're able to make fights. And if he can do it, fantastic. You wouldn't bet against him. But I don't know if that's coming from him or not. I don't know where the plans are. But what he's done for the sport so far, you can't but help commend.
Absolutely. Ben, thank you for taking time to speak to me. I appreciate it. Sure, we'll be catching up later in the week, so I do appreciate it, mate. Top man as always. Thank you, mate. Cheers.